Good morning.
Good morning, Lois.
Jenice and I were talking about um, the path we take with our feet, the path we take in our heart. And I actually had a conversation with someone recently where we were talking about how this person made a decision for their future based on what someone else wanted for them.
Ooh.
And I got to thinking how hard and difficult that must be now to know the choice they made based on someone else's desire for them.
Wow.
I don't know for sure because I'm not them.
Right.
But I think it would be nice to know, from my perspective, it would be nice to know that my the path I was on was not necessarily dictated by a friend or maybe a colleague, or not that they don't have influence on that, or that I should never listen to those things, because I do believe that the people in our lives are important and we need to listen and take it, take a breath and hear those things that are around us. But I think we forget sometimes to really dream and know what we're about. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think what that makes me think of is that I think we sometimes rely on other people's input too much sometimes, as opposed to discovering what it is that you internally, deep down, what's going to drive you, what's going to make you get up every morning and do what you do. What is it that drives you? And are you following that? Or are you waiting for someone else to kind of give you or lead you by the nose to something that maybe not you 100%? And so I think it's important that we know who we are. We have to know what we are about, and we have to sometimes do some self-reflection. And I think that's the hard part right there. I think the crux of it is that when you do some self-reflection, to kind of ask yourself, looking in the mirror, asking yourself the question, am I on the right path for me? Not for my best friend, not for that person next to me who I think is doing really wonderful, but am I on the path, the right path for me? And that's a hard thing sometimes when you already have this little tiny voice in your head saying, you can't do that, or you're not good enough to do that, or no one's going to really be interested in what you have. So you've got these competing voices in your head telling you that your idea is probably not the best idea, or not the greatest idea, or not the most beneficial idea, or the most profitable idea. Go with this one. Or so we kind of get ourselves influenced, and we're off on trying this, and we're off trying that, and we're off trying the other thing. And then our dreams, our internal, deep down seated dreams that we have, are then put on the back burner. And that's not what you need to do.
I want to talk about that for a minute. The most profitable idea. There is this idea that things have to be the most profitable.
Yeah.
And profit is so good, and we love profit. But what if we just loved what we did first?
That's important. I think that's number one. in fact, more so than profit.
I think it would lead to profit
Yep.
personally.
Yep.
But I went to school with a bunch of people who wanted to become doctors because they thought it was most profitable.
That was the only reason that they went into the field.
And I don't think most of them thought that it was the only reason. I think some of them probably really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about all of them, but you hear from a lot of people in that field that they find out later that the bills exceed the profit
Wow.
from school.
Yeah, because medical school is expensive.
What are the real loves, and where are you missing the costs? You know, I think there's a lot of things we don't think about. So why don't we just start with the love first?
I agree with you there 100%. I mean, it's said that when you follow your heart with the things that come easiest to you, the money will follow. So if you do something that you are motivated to do, that if you didn't get paid a dime to do it, you'd still do it anyway, that's probably the right thing for you to pursue. And when you pursue it in that vein, with the idea that maybe you may not make a lot of money on it, but it's something that you absolutely love, that you can't not see yourself not doing, the money will come. And I think that needs to be the driver, and not what the title is, or what will people respect you for, or what looks good, but what drives you. What is it that, what principles do you live by, that you're convicted by, that drive you? Is it to help people? Is it to share your knowledge with people? Is it to motivate people? What is it that drives you? You know, is it helping the older folks? Is it helping the homeless? What is it that drives you? What are your principles? What are your core principles? When we can kind of uncover what that is, and build whatever it is we're building around those core principles, what we live by and what we're convicted by, that's what we need to go for, as opposed to being led in down this street. Oh, you'll be good at this, and you'll be good at that, and then you're trying this and you're trying that, and then what you really want to do gets buried deeper and deeper the more you do that. So it takes some real honest conversation, and it takes some real honest introspection into who you are, what drives you, what will you do if you never got paid a dime, what will you get up and do every day? What gives you satisfaction? What gives you peace? What gives you comfort? What makes you feel that life is worth living because that's in your life? You're doing what you want to do in your life. That's what we need to get to. And I think a lot of the times it gets buried, because we take this person's advice, we take that person's advice. This person has a nice shiny course over here that we want to try, and this other person has an even better course with more bells and whistles that you want to try. Or this person you really respect, so you take their advice on how to do something, and it may not be the way that you are made to do it. Maybe there's a whole different path that you need to take that's more akin to you, and that's what we need to discover. So I think you're right. Absolutely, you're right. Don't think about the profit. Think about what drives you. What are your core principles, and do they align with your core principles? And if they align, then you're on the right path. And then you just, even if you don't know how to get to the end result, the fact is you start down that road, and things will start to evolve. Things will start to happen, and things will begin to line up for you in the universe, because you're on the right path. So yeah, I think that's important.
Absolutely.
That's a very interesting dichotomy, I think, with purpose and what they call it, your purpose and what it is that you were meant to do, as opposed to a career or opposed to a job. what were you really meant and put on this earth to do? And so finding what that is kind of lines you up with what your purpose is. And that's what you need to pursue. What
It's
is the
really
talent that you've been given to do?
calling. It's really more of a calling.
It is a calling. It
Um,
is a calling.
yeah, where your heart is, where you're not just placed with your feet, but where your heart meets,
Yeah, where you're drawn.
and you were drawn to be.
I think you're drawn. I think it because it's bigger than who you are. It's something in you that's already in you already. Whatever your talent is or whatever your calling is already in you. You just have to uncover it or discover it. And a lot of the times we kind of bury it because we think it's not that important or it's not that great or it's not that big or it's not that impactful. We need to pursue what our calling is. What have you been given that the next person has not been given? Do that.
Yeah. How many times do we forget it?
Yeah.
Or we see it and we don't know it's there because it's something that is so easy for us.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this because there's some things that come easy for me that don't come easy for you, and some things that come easy for you that don't come easy for me.
Yeah.
And those are the things. So yes, do those and don't take them for granted, because
Mm-mm.
the things that you enjoy and find joy in because they're simple, are not coming easy for other people. So
That's true.
use them to bless the world.
That's true. I like that. So on that note, let us know what you think of today's topic. Are you even aware of what your calling is? Do you know what your calling is? Maybe it's time to do a self-reflective look at what it is you were put here to do, or what you're called to do, or what you're drawn to do. So let us know what you think. Drop us a comment. Again, don't forget to check out Lois Garner at As We Go. Lois at As We Go, and also her book. Of course, again, I'm going to put the information in the comments so that you can check out her book, Uncovered, and see what she's doing over there on her page.
And make sure you check out Jenisys podcast. Remind them the Anchor.
So it's an Anchor. It's Jenisys Solutions Diabetes. No, sorry, Jenisys. Jenisys Solutions Diabetes, the sugar sweet enemy, and it is on Anchor. It's also on Spotify. It's also on iTunes and a few other places. But if you can just remember Anchor or Anchor Spotify, remember Spotify, you should be able to find it on either one of those two platforms.
All right. We'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Have a great week and have a great day.